Paul, thank you for your time. I must ask, why are you down in Hobart?
Well, I came down. Obviously, there's been a change in board with the Hobart Chargers, so I came down to meet with Jason Brown, and also had a chance to catch up with Chris McCoy from Basketball Tasmania. Mark Nash and I played together at Adelaide, and so it's good to catch up and have a coffee with him. But I try to get to most SEABL venues at least once during the year. So for me, it's an opportunity to come down, see a doubleheader, here in Hobart, and then tomorrow I'll go up to Launceston and watch the Tornadoes play.
Okay. As the league boss, you must be happy with the league so far. About 10 rounds in now.
Yeah, look, SEABL is such a fantastic league. The standard of SEABL is it's high. Both men's and women's. It's a really good standard basketball. It's a vibrant competition, and I think that it's obviously been running under a couple of different names now for 30-odd years, and it continues to be, probably the league just beneath NBL, WNBL, because it's sort of carved out that space for itself. And so for me, I love watching SEABL games and watching the league, because it's a great league. I think it gets great support around the country. And happy.
Are you amazed by, like, when you go to some of the communities like Ballarat and Mount Gambier, just two that stand out of my mind, that really pull good crowds to their games? Are you happy with all the presentations for game nights?
Yeah, and I think that teams, I guess often the struggle with clubs is just lack of resources, because it is a challenge, for associations and clubs to sort of pull together great game nights when they don't have a whole lot of full-time resources running things, and yet they manage to do so consistently year in, year out. And for a lot of clubs, that's based on some volunteers who give way beyond what they're asked. But the support from the communities is there because the standard's good. It's great entertainment, and because grassroots basketball is thriving. Has not skipped a beat in Australia, and you think about the number of kids who play for a country of 23 million, it's extraordinary. So it's not surprising that the support is good, and we'd of course like to see it better as a league. We're trying to do a bit more on the media side and to support it, because it deserves it. It's well worth the support.
Does the league encourage more media content or more of live streaming happening around the league?
Yeah, absolutely, and we we do a little bit of live streaming ourselves, but we have budget constraints like everybody else. But we do have a young digital media team that is doing a better and better job in terms of content provision and things like highlight tapes and interviews and little feature pieces, which we have seen has driven website traffic considerably, and our social media stats continue to grow. So it's definitely a focus for us. We would also like to start to try and get a little bit more external media.
Obviously, with that external media, I know a good friend of mine, Matthew Webster's doing live stream with Melbourne games. I know you've been a guest commentator on there, so I kept an eye on that. And I know some of the other Mount Gambier do the odd live stream here and there as well too. Dandenong. So do you really try to encourage the clubs to have their own little external media to give more exposure for their clubs, but also to the league in general? Yeah,
and look, the aim would be ultimately to find a platform where we could live stream, if not most games every round, and have that freely available to fans across the country. That's probably going to be a bit of time in the making, but in the meantime, the more clubs that can actually stream games and make it available for people to watch, the better, because it just exposes what is a great product.
Let's come back to the league now. Melbourne being the newest team in the league, and obviously Andrew Gay's taking on the head coaching role. How have you found Melbourne's re-entering into the season?
Oh, look, it's an iconic club, right? Melbourne Tigers, probably the best known club in Australia, and Andrew, funny enough, before their entry, when they're going through the bid process, was he's probably always going to underplay things, so we weren't sure, but he was pretty adamant, and we'd seen their form in the Victorian State League in the Big V, that they were going to do the best they could, but would probably struggle in the early going the first year, and they haven't been able to put too many wins on the board, but I think having them in the competition is good, and I think that behind the scenes, I know they're growing support, and so I think that they'll get more and more competitive as time goes on.
Knox were in the league back a few years and had to withdraw due to financial reasons. Knox anywhere close to maybe making a return to SEABL at some stage in the near distant future?
Well, look, I think they are. We speak to them regularly because we now Basketball Australia operates out of the State Basketball Centre along with Basketball Victoria, but that is run by the Knox Basketball Association, so we speak with Knox regularly. They have made enormous inroads into their financial situation, so much so that they've pretty much dug themselves out of the hole, but they're probably at least another year away from considering entering back into SEABL.
The Lady Chargers, obviously, Jason Brown held a press conference earlier this week in regards to the Lady Chargers' future, and obviously linking up with the Australian Sports Foundation. And I believe the Lady Chargers and also Jason are working closely with you guys in the league. Is it important to keep the ladies program in Hobart alive here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hobart for us, and I think for Tasmanian basketball in general, is incredibly important as a critical pathway piece, right? So in terms of opportunities for good young players to progress up through the ranks, I mean, SEABL is such a platform for taking that next step, and because the standard, as I've said, is so good. And in any club, we really, it's odd that in Tasmania we actually have two of the examples where we have a men's or a women's only, being Northwest Tassie and Launceston. But for the majority of clubs in SEABL, we push hard to make sure that they have both a men's and a women's. So we would definitely like to see the Lady Chargers continue.
What's ahead for you and your board over the next half of the season? Anything coming up that you might be able to reveal, or anything that you're working closely towards to getting announcement getting out?
Look, the things that are, in terms of revealing anything, I guess things that are going on behind the scenes, I'm reluctant to reveal until we've got something concrete in place. But we do have some exciting opportunities in Asia for a possible SEABL All-Star team touring to China to play mid-year. So that's something we're looking at in terms of fixturing in next year. And I think that'd be a great development for SEABL, and to take that league to Asia to get people to see what a great product it is. But aside from that, it's more of what you asked about before in terms of increasing live streaming and providing more content.
I just got to come to the fixturing. Interesting fixture this year, certainly with teams not having the usual Tassie road trip. Sometimes they'll just have the one game here or the one game in Northwest or Launceston and then fly back out. Has it been harder to do this year with the fixturing? Yeah,
the fixturing is usually hamstrung primarily by venue availability, and I don't mean in one place particularly, but all around the country. So but having said that, one of the focuses, and something that I was talking to Jason about earlier today, was that we would like to do a better job and get onto it earlier to encourage clubs to think commercially about what are their opportunities, to be proactive about coming up with interstate rivalry games on key weekends where they know they're going to get crowds, and likewise actually avoiding certain weekends because there might be other events that take away people. So if we can get every club to sort of provide more information early into the fixturing process, I think what we can do is then create a fixture that is designed to maximize crowds.
Give us your tip for the end of the season. Who's going to make the finals? As far as who might win the Southern Conference, who might win the East Conference? You have a tip in mind early this stage, halfway through?
Well, look, Nunawading's to me, Nunawading's always a a contender, both men's and women's. I think they're strong. Mount Gambier in the men's is good. Who else? Kilsyth.
Okay.
Kilsyth, will you watch what'll happen with Kilsyth? They'll come good.
All right.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Cool. Paul, great to have you down here, and it's great. It's a great opportunity that Chargers TV has been able to have a talk with the league boss and find out some news, and some very exciting news, and we all look forward to that within the future. So, thank you. I hope you enjoy your time down here in Tassie, and we'll no doubt again see you again soon.